Imagine agents, automations, and people brought together. The era of the autonomous enterprise. Instruments of work growing smarter, faster, and more capable. Multiplying what you can achieve exponentially. Streamlining workflows, bridging silos, harmonizing collaboration, unleashing potential. Orchestration that defines the future. Imagine what's possible.
Please welcome the co-founder, CEO, and chairman of Automation Anywhere, Mihir Shukla.
Thank you. Welcome to Imagine, everyone. To our customers, partners, we are honored you are here with us. And a special welcome to Icera customers. We have accomplished incredible things together. Your usage of our agentic process automation platform is doubling every quarter. Imagine, every quarter. You are now running over 500 million AI agents in automation, generating immense value for your businesses. Last year, we crossed $50 billion of collective value generated by all of you. And for few of you, you are approaching $1 billion value creation goal. Congratulations, this is amazing. This growth is accelerating as our offerings expand. We have expanded our R&D efforts by 50%, delivering more value to you in every product release. Across our APA platform, but also 9 pre-built agentic solutions for faster results. These solutions aren't just transforming your business, they are transforming ours as well. To serve you better, for example, we have applied agentic automation to our customer service. And today, 50% of customer inquiries are resolved within 2 minutes. And we have used all the value created through agentic automation to hire 20% more people. Yes, 20% more people. I think together, what we are proving is that technology doesn't just drive efficiency, it expands opportunity. Through our partnership with you and social impact programs, we have reached over 800,000 people in the world. We have delivered over 500,000 hours of free training to help individuals welcome them to the digital economy, a future they may not have imagined before this. And because true innovation carries responsibility. Let me say that again. True innovation carries responsibility. We are also deepening our commitment to sustainability. We are on track to deliver carbon neutrality scope 1 and 2 this quarter, way ahead of our plans. There is a common theme in all of this, that agentic automation generates real business value. The efficiency it creates may lead to cost cutting in some areas, but by reinvesting that capital elsewhere, you can fuel tremendous growth. And none of this would be possible without all of you. So thank you. Give yourself a big round of applause. Imagine is about you. Here you can learn from your peers, see many customer stories live in action, take a deep dive into our technology, and be first to see what is coming. Some of you might remember that about 2 years ago, we unveiled the industry's first AI agent, AI agent wasn't a term back then. And the industry's first dynamic process reasoning engine. And we told you that this is how the future will be. This year, we're going to do something similar, but take it to the next level. We will unveil the future of enterprise autonomy. And that will give you a view into what that future will look like eventually for all of us. Now, I know you can't go anywhere without hearing about AI. In early stage of any technology, there is an explosion of ideas and a lot of noise, and that makes it harder to find your path forward. But I'm confident there is so much of experience and intelligence in this room that we'll together find a real clarity together on this journey. Let me take a quick poll from the audience. How many of you use AI in a daily work life? How many of you? It's like almost everybody. That's wonderful. How many of you think that it is smarter and faster than instead of asking the person next to you most of the time? That's why you use it. How many? Come on, be honest. You've been asking the person next in the cube a little less lately, right? It's getting smarter. We feel that, yeah? And it's not surprising because every decade or so, we have a definition of artificial general intelligence. We cross it and we make a new definition as we should, because it is getting smarter and faster. People ask me whether our process intelligence model and reasoning engine model, how much smarter will it get? That's a meaningless question. How high can a plane fly higher than a human being jump? It's not even on the same scale. In fact, that's not what we do. That's why we invented planes. This thing will be 1,000 times smarter in coming years, because nobody can take our models, half a billion input parameters, billions of runs. That's not what we were designed for. So that's a foregone conclusion that this thing is going to be 1,000 times smarter, right? That's not what we designed. So that leads to this paradox. If AI is this much smarter, why haven't we managed to transform many more enterprise processes? Why haven't we seen everybody achieve billion-dollar outcomes? What is missing? What is missing are three things that's slowing enterprise adoption down. The first is context. In enterprises, AI isn't about raw intelligence. It's about contextual intelligence that is based on your data and your business realities. You can't get a nuclear physicist to process an insurance claim, right? You can't. And if you just plug things together in a multi-step process without context, those errors expand, and it is unmanageable. The second problem we have is that we need a solution to this siloed thinking and the sprawl of AI everywhere. Because when you apply AI in silos, you relegate it to very specific task-oriented things. And it doesn't often deliver business outcomes. It doesn't increase revenue, manage costs, reduce risk. Think of it this way. Let's say you have 5% of the people in a company doing something, and you did an AI POC that would improve their work by 5%. Collectively, that's 0.25% for the whole company. And then there is a question whether it showed up anywhere. Right? So we need to get out of the silos, and to complete end-to-end business outcomes, you need to orchestrate between people, systems. We have operated in silos for too long. We're still operating in a post-World War II era, where that's how, since World War II, we are organized. So that's what we are continuing. And finally, we need governance and observability and security. They are the key blockers. Without it, no pilots can go to production. These are the three reasons why we haven't seen a significantly wide adoption. So how do we solve this paradox? What should be, one of the most question of all that I get asked is that what should be the enterprise AI strategy? Let's look at the options vendors are presenting. Many of you have played with copilots, and we all jumped into it because there is an appeal of a faster value. We all want faster value. And it is great for personal productivity, but we now know for sure that it doesn't solve the paradox of enterprise productivity. It does not. You could get AI from system of record vendors. And they are proficient in their specific domain, and we have trusted them with security and governance. So I can see that appeal, right? But the reality is that the system of record companies' incentives is the same old SaaS story, where they charge for the seats and charge more money for a new AI technology. You hear from SaaS vendors that the revenue will increase significantly in the next few years. And it makes you wonder, why would that be? When 80% of your workload can be fully autonomous, why would your revenue go up so much? Because they expect to continue to charge the old model while they build the new business model along with it. Look, AI gives us an opportunity to do things differently and unlock value. This is not against anybody, but this has to be in favor of value creation. And this is an opportunity of a lifetime. There are also plenty of point solutions in AI startups, but the challenge there is enterprise-grade technology. You end up taking a risk that you can't see. So with all these choices, what do we do? A collection of copilots, agents, and point solution is not a strategy. And this is a technology of a lifetime. We think your strategy should be to become an autonomous enterprise. What is an autonomous enterprise? An autonomous enterprise is an AI-first organization where 80% of work runs autonomously or AI-assisted. 80%. You're reimagining work. And because agentic automation orchestrates across application, it reduces needs for more software licenses. We need to decouple companies' growth from SaaS stacks. This model where the more you grow, the more toll booth you pay to every SaaS vendor doesn't have to be that way. Right? It can be more outcome-driven. So that model has to change. An autonomous enterprise does not mean no people. On the contrary, every employee should be 3x more productive. This is very important. Not 10%, 20% more productive. That would be another IT project. It's not an IT project. AI has to run an organization, and people have to be 3x more productive. Now, since we announced autonomous enterprise vision more than 2 years ago, other companies have introduced their own versions. Agentic enterprise, agentic business. Some others have quoted now the same name even. But make no mistake, that's not the same. It has to have these 3 characteristics that allow you to reimagine how business operates. Now let's hear it from an organization that is pursuing this vision. Today we are fortunate to be joined by leaders of UK's National Health Service. Who doesn't know NHS? But NHS serves in UK millions of people, and it is the 4th largest employer in the world with 1.5 million employees. Take a look at the video.
1.5 million employees, over 200 trusts. The UK's National Health Service is the largest single employer in Europe and one of the most extraordinary institutions. Like all large public systems, the NHS is navigating real financial and operational pressure.
Across the NHS, we're trying to transform patient care. I was having a conversation with someone who worked in the organisation, and they were describing real struggles in sort of the day-to-day processing of the organisation. It became clear to me in that conversation that automation would unlock that person's potential and the potential of the organisation.
University Hospitals of Leicester is one of the largest and busiest NHS trusts. 18,000 colleagues serving over 1 million people across 3 hospitals and 7 community sites. It is choosing to lead by doing something the NHS has rarely seen: a chief people officer and a chief digital officer, building a new operational model together.
We firmly believe that healthcare is a team sport. I could see a vision to create an agentic colleague which would free up the capacity of the people within the team to do the work that only they could do.
We really needed to understand the process end to end, and that's been the difference for us in this project.
The agentic process automation is making their working life better.
So much administrative work has increased over the years, which now automation should help us with and reduce that burden. So it's going back to the old style of being a doctor for the patient.
Working with emerging technologies, not only how great is the tech, but also how much do you trust the people that you're working with? And for us, AA was the perfect partner.
I think by 2028, I want to be walking around the wards, the clinical environments, listening to people, seeing the smiles on their face, and they describing to me fundamentally how their jobs have changed.
This is what it looks like when a great institution decides to lead, and the team is here to show you how.
Please join me in welcoming from the University Hospital of Leicester, CEO Richard, Chief Digital Information Officer Will, and Chief HR Officer Claire. Come on up here, guys. We really have a unique opportunity to hear it from 3 different perspectives here. Thank you for joining. Hi, hello, thank you. You guys are very awake for this time. It's near midnight, yeah. Richard, maybe we start with you. Give us the big picture. Look, this is impressive, but set a vision for us. What's the future of healthcare in agentic era?
It's brilliant to be here, and thank you so much for the warm welcome in Dallas. So I've been really excited about this conference for the last couple of months. Great opportunity to meet like-minded people and to learn. I think whether it is global healthcare, whether it's the provision of healthcare in North America, South America, Latin America, Africa, Asia, Europe, or the UK where we're based, I think the thing that brings us together is our 3 big priorities. Okay. So in the organisation I work in, if you work in healthcare, I think they're similar. The first bit is around providing safe care to all patients, whether that's through curing them or preventing illness in the first place. The second bit is about being a great employer for all of your workforce. And the third bit is about delivering the money, working within our finances, being a more productive organisation. There's different ways of delivering those 3 priorities. I think the best way of delivering all 3 together in a unified way is agentic AI.
Thank you. Will, how do you make this real?
Yeah, it's great because we've got a big vision about what the role of agentic AI can play in healthcare. And sometimes having a really big vision is terrifying, right? Because you recognize that you might fall short, but sometimes it gives you the permission that you need to be really ambitious and take some managed risks. And I guess that's where we are. So in terms of kind of making it real, the first way is being really clear about what it is that we're collectively trying to achieve. The second part of that, I think, is really understanding the technology and the role that technology plays. I think for us, we'll always need those foundational technologies like RPA and other aspects of automation. But what we've seen is if we're really going to deliver this vision around transforming the way we work fundamentally, we're going to have to move away from that traditional digital behavior of kind of looking at a process and finding a way to digitize it and make it slightly easier to kind of fundamentally reimagining what that process is and what's actually needed in those scenarios. And for us, the big shift has been towards agentic AI and agentic process automation, because finally that allows us to have a system that can manage the context, it can manage the kind of the unstructured nature of lots of our work. And this for us has been the kind of key enabler.
That's fantastic. It sounds like changes go beyond technology in this, governance, teams, Claire, I'm sure human people and workforce. Tell us a little more, what are all other changes other than technology?
Yeah, so I think for us it's probably around sort of 3 things have made the shift and made the difference. So The first is that while the technology is fundamental, this is really about solving problems for our colleagues and for our patients. And so what that means in practice is that there are different people in the organization that lead on those processes. So Claire is a great example of somebody who leads on the people processes and really understand what the organization needs from that. So our kind of first shift has been away from thinking about this as a technology project to thinking about it as solving problems in the organization where technology plays a kind of supporting role. The second shift for us has been really about the return on investment. So we've all heard big promises from tech in the past, right? That it's going to be completely revolutionary.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And so we've been kind of really ruthless in both kind of tracking and realizing the benefits. So we're starting to see we've committed to a 3.1 times return on investment. We're already starting to see that in our organization now, just a few months into the process.
Did you say 3x return on investment?
3.1.
3.1, okay.
And then the final one really is about, and look, you probably would expect me to say this, but is about partnerships.
Yeah.
Because lots of what we've done is stuff that you would expect. It's stuff that's relatively straightforward, but there's a huge amount of what we're trying to do, which is really, really complicated and complex and hard. Yeah. And there are times when you're looking for your partner, and when it gets hard, what you really want them to do is lean in.
Yeah.
And for us, Automation Anywhere have been the kind of the perfect partner, because when it's got hard and complicated and we've got stuck with a problem, it hasn't been like, over to you guys. You know, you guys have really lent in and given us some help and helped us understand this technology in a way we just never would have done on our own.
Thank you. Look, we've never had the world's fourth largest employer before, so we are learning as well. So thank you. Claire, tell us the huge side of this is human beings and the roles and responsibilities and how people think of work. Give us your perspective.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. A few things about this, and you'll all be able to relate to this. Everybody can relate to healthcare. It's a business that is about people, it's about patients, and it's about colleagues. And what the tech is doing for us is giving us the ability to totally transform the work that people do and how they do it. And for the first time, we're in a situation where the tech is actually working for the people rather than it actually being the other way around.
Yes.
And what that's doing in practice for us in clinical care, as Will and Richard have alluded to, we work in a complex environment. Our clinicians work in a complex, acute environment. And what the tech does is it frees up their capacity, so it releases time to care. It gives them the opportunity to do only the thing that they can do, which is spend the specific time with the patient. And what it also does is release capacity so that within the same level of resources, we've got more capacity for colleagues to be able to train and develop themselves. So it builds their careers, their portfolios, and their abilities, their clinical abilities, which means that they've got a greater opportunity to operate at the top end of their license. And the final thing that I would say is that it actually inspires hope and opportunity for change. So working in an environment where actually you can be constrained around resources, whether that's the availability of other colleagues, the availability of finances or future investments, what this does is it gives people the opportunity to be able to see that change is possible. And I think that that's really inspiring. And where we get inspired colleagues and motivated colleagues, we know there's a direct correlation between improvements in patient care and patient outcomes. And they're the sorts of things that we're seeing in practice.
I've not heard that before, but it's amazing. You know, so much of media narrative is not so much about hope, but right? It gives people hope, and that's a different perspective. I know we have a limited time. Maybe quickly, one message you would give to your audience, each one of you, what would you tell them from what your experience?
Should I go first? Okay, so what I would say and say to you in the audience is that we've seen the ability of some of the tech. We know that there's more to come. The pace of change is fast. As I say, it gives us great opportunities. Continue to make sure that you absolutely focus on the people, build the team, and create the right conditions for all of the colleagues to come with you.
Executive Vice, Richard.
I'm going to pick up on Claire's point about hope. So we know that there are lots of challenges at the moment, but I also think there are many reasons to feel optimistic. So I'm going to use a quote, and the quote is, optimism is a duty. The future is open. The future is not predetermined. And we can all shape the future with the actions that we take. I think we all have a responsibility for the success in the future, and I think agentic AI is going to be a key determinant of future success.
Spoken like a leader. Well,
how do you follow that? I guess my
that's
my
why you
word,
always go before CEO.
I know. I wish we'd stood in a slightly different order now. And then, yeah. I guess my word would be to the technologists in the room, which is, this isn't fundamentally about us. Like, we get that collectively, right? Our job is to serve our organizations and to deliver the change for them. And I think increasingly as we move to mainstream this technology and it be not about the technology, but about how we work in our organizations, the role of the technologist then becomes one about serving the aims and ambitions of everybody else. And so I think for us, we have to try and reimagine our roles, not as people who drop technology into the organizations, but as people whose job it is to enable brilliant people to do brilliant things.
That's a great advice. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks,
it's what a unique opportunity to get a perspective from 3 different
Thanks
angles.
so much.
Thank you.
They are in a breakout, and I would encourage everybody to hear the story in more detail. It's an amazing story. NHS allowed us to see that the autonomous enterprise isn't just a vision. They are approaching, their vision is to do 70% of everything that can be automated. Isn't that amazing? Look, today I'm excited to share many new announcements that will accelerate your path to autonomous enterprise. And I warn you, there are many announcements. And during the next 2 hours, you will hear more and more about it. First is our APA 2026 platform. Now, everything that you love about it and the billions of automations and agents that you run on it is getting better. The latest release has an your Mozart orchestrator that is now enhanced to deal with the most complex of the complex processes, so that it can do a big work that spans across systems with an accuracy that is required for regulated industry like in healthcare and NHS, right? So here is the challenge. Bring it on. Bring it on your most complex processes on this platform. We can handle it. Right? The second announcement we would like to make is the 2026 version release of the autonomous ITSM solution. The autonomous ITSM solution is reimagining the economics of ITSM that is not based on tickets. The new version offers pre-built agents to resolve more complex types of tickets, connectivity to thousands of more applications. At last count, we have integrated 45,000 applications, and a seamless user experience. It's a fantastic product. You'll learn more about it. And we are very committed to transforming the economics of ITSM. Right? That world has to change. The third announcement I'd like to make is, in addition to enhancing 7 existing agentic solutions with the next level of autonomy, we are also introducing 2 new amazing solutions: autonomous IT and autonomous finance. These solutions were designed by CIOs for CIOs and by CFO for CFOs to automate an entire department. And I have seen it. It is unbelievable. You will see it on the demo booths and during the keynotes later today. The fourth announcement I'd like to make is we are making a new capability available called Automation Anywhere Code. Now, vibe coding is great, but the challenge has been, how do you produce production-grade agentic applications with context, security, and governance? Automation Anywhere Code solves that problem. It helps you build, test, and deploy enterprise-grade applications with complete processes, agents, UIs, context, security, and all in as little as 1 week, ready to go live. If we can accelerate that journey in a week, there are so many problems we can tackle. I know so many of you can't wait to get his hands on it, including our partners. I know this is a lot of announcements, but I have one last announcement to make, and it is something special. I promised we'll show you the future of enterprise autonomy. Many of you have heard about OpenClaw agents. Yes? How many have heard of OpenClaw agents? Quite a few. They can think, decide, and execute autonomously. The potential is real, but so is the problem. What makes OpenClaw-like agents powerful for personal productivity is what makes them dangerous in enterprise settings. And I know you all know that. Because your most critical data lives in a secure environment that was never designed to let unmanaged agents in. Today, I am excited to announce availability of Enterprise Claude. It brings together our enterprise-grade technology with the power of OpenClaw-like agents. You will see other vendors trying to replicate this. But Enterprise Claude is different. Because we orchestrate and govern the entire process, the entire work, not just few individual agents. The whole work has to be governed. And second, because it provides the accuracy that I talked about with the context that is ready for regulated industries. Enterprise Claude unlocks unimaginable possibilities. For example, now you can take tickets like L3 and L4 tickets that are more complex. That often takes an engineer sometimes 2 weeks to diagnose what the problem is. Now, Enterprise Claude agents can quickly discover, sometimes within minutes or at the most hour, what the underlying root cause is. That's unbelievable. Now, we didn't build this alone. We built Enterprise Claude with partners who know what an enterprise grade means, the best in the industry. Cisco, NVIDIA, Okta, and OpenAI. Cisco handles security monitoring and threat detection for agent activity. NVIDIA provides the compute infrastructure and secure execution on-prem and edge. Okta, of course, manages identity across control for agent interactions. And OpenAI brings the model and the model intelligence. And we have these partners here with us today. Please.
Hey, Mihir, how are you?
Hello, thanks for having me this morning.
Hi there. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a great question, Mihir. I think, especially for this audience, I think, they're more than aware of the kinds of issues that come up when you start, having agents. The way I like to think about this is, agents almost, they act like, teenagers, with a credit card, right? A lot of times they're extremely capable, but they lack any kind of judgment or fear of consequences, or any kind of sense of boundaries. And so, when you give an agent a task, especially an agent that has a large amount of reasoning capabilities, agents have a tendency to sort of relentlessly pursue the goals of what it's being asked to go out and do, right? So which means, at the end of the day, when an agent's trying to be helpful, you really have to start to think about, hey, what kind of actions are the agents taking? So when you start to think about the threats, these superhuman characteristics of infinite memory, infinite patience, no fatigue, all of these things create an interesting threat model. And the way we think about this from a Cisco perspective is that threat model is two-sided. You need to simultaneously protect these agents from the world, because these agents can, be attacked with attacks like prompt injection or context hijacking or malicious MCP servers. And on the flip side, you got to protect the world from these agents. You got to make sure that you're managing the access, you're managing your blast radius, you're making sure that there aren't any destructive actions being performed. So you're fundamentally reimagining all of these capabilities, whether it's identity, whether it's access, whether it's behavior, not just at the task level, but even at that subtask level of these agents. You got to make sure that you're thinking deeply about these problems. So it's a brand new world, from a security perspective. Listen, it's meant to unlock enterprises from adopting Enterprise Claude, right? I think that is the core thing. One of the first things that's going to happen with agents is security is going to fundamentally increase adoption. Security has historically been looked at something that adds more friction, but this is going to be one of those cases where it is going to reduce the friction, allow you to use these tools a lot easier, a lot faster, right? And so with Defense Claude, what you're getting is basically, we open sourced it. It's a secure agentic runtime that directly hooks into Open Claude, hooks into Claude Code, hooks into Codex, and those are the additional capabilities that we provided that gives you a skill scanner. It gives you an MCP scanner. It actually runs Code Guard, which means when you're using any kind of code generation tool, it looks at all of the code and says, hey, is this code appropriate? Has it been, from a security perspective? So it brings all of these pieces together. In fact, since we launched, we've got north of about 3,000 plus GitHub stars. And some of the largest enterprises are now using Defense Claude to be able to effectively secure their production environments. And the best thing about this is it really simplifies how you start to think about using these things, from a security perspective, especially in large companies. It puts the CISO's mind at rest, and so that's really exciting.
Good to see you too. Yeah, well, I would say that AI is no longer a pilot. AI has become infrastructure. And a lot of customers, when they're moving from this experimentation phase to agents at scale, they need these agents to be governed, and they also need them to be very token efficient, because agents love to use tokens. And NVIDIA provides that platform for deploying agents at scale and more securely. We have our NeMo platform for optimizing and tracing agents. We have OpenShell, which is our open source secure runtime. We have our Nemotron models for cost efficiency with models. And then we also have NemoClaw. You were talking about claws. Claw is the big word. And we have NemoClaw, which is our blueprint to be able to put all of these things together. Yeah, well, I would say that Nemotron provides the intelligence as well as cost efficiency. And then OpenShell is, again, that secure runtime. It's that trust boundary, because it operates at the infrastructure layer and a unified security credential layer that's separate from the sandbox, to make sure that these agents, again, when you're working with agents, they have access to credentials, they have access to networks, they have access to files, just like you said earlier, in ways that we do, but we need to be able to give them policies. They need to be able to we need to be able to enforce those policies for them, and OpenShell allows you to do that.
Let me go to Eli. Eli, Okta, of course, is a leader in agentic identity, and you're bringing things like XAA to agents. Why is it important for companies to be thinking about this? Sorry, if we switch to Eli.
All right. Well, I think we all have to operate under the assumption that AI agents will be hacked.
Yes.
I see prompt injection as a feature of AI agents, not a bug to be managed. It's really inherent to how LLMs process instructions. And because we can't patch this, the highest ROI security activity we can take on is securing the identity of AI agents and ensuring they have a small blast radius, even if they are compromised.
What excites you most about us working together?
Well, ultimately, it's all about creating least privileged agents. The agents operating on endpoints are really the riskiest type of agents. They're agents that are susceptible to something called the lethal trifecta. They have deep privilege access, meaning they have like read and write permissions to your local file system. They have untrusted input processing. They're constantly reading external data like emails or Slack messages that could have malicious instructions embedded in them. And they can take autonomous action. They don't just talk, they can do. And because of this, we need to work together to ensure these agents have task-based, fine-grained access controls, so they only have permission to do small tasks that they should be doing. And we need to ensure that the tokens that are created for these agents are ephemeral, so that if they are compromised, these tokens aren't sitting around waiting for an attacker to use them to move across your workstation or ultimately across a company.
Thank you, Eli. Jason, let's just switch to you. Good to see you too, Jason. Jason, what is fueling this space of modern releases and innovation?
Yeah, and so you've heard from a couple people today how quickly things are accelerating. I actually want to take a moment to contextualize that. So OpenAI has had 3 model releases this year. We release on a 4 to 6 week cadence, major model releases. And that used to be a multi-year effort. So if you look at GPT-3 to GPT 3.5, that was an 18-month training cycle. So if it sounds like things are getting faster, it feels like getting faster, they very much are, purely in terms of the pace of launches. And it's also true with the cost of intelligence. So the comparable sort of AI capabilities today versus 18 months ago, the cost of that has come down on the order of 100x. So you're seeing much smarter models, but also much more efficient models, meaning you can deploy them in more places. And so to your original question in terms of why that is, there's so many resources now in this AI industry with the best people, smartest people in the world working in it, that we've seen improvements across the stack. That means hardware, that's pre-training, post-training, and all of those combinations of improvements have led to this continually accelerating cycle that we see.
Jason, what are the biggest opportunities for our joint customers as part of working together on a project like Enterprise Claude?
Yeah, so as a byproduct of these increasing model capabilities, the agent capabilities are not static. I talked about how quickly things are accelerating. What we're seeing is that there's a big overhang in terms of what the models are capable of, and then what you actually get out of it within an enterprise. And the biggest reason is because there's a gap between those capabilities and then also the governance, the security, and the observability required to be successful in deploying that. And so we're very excited about this partnership. Automation Anywhere has over 20 years of enterprise process automation experience. You need the right agentic infrastructure in order to secure and make sure these deployments are successful.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate all of you joining us today. Please give them a big round of applause. Together, we are imagining the future. Thank you very much. The Enterprise Claude has this incredible capability. You take an example, I mentioned about L3, L4 tickets. Think about taxes and mortgages and claims and supply chain. In each of this area, there are Enterprise Claudes, and there are a few of our partners here who are announcing solutions on it, that could create 1,000 people worth of work in 1 hour. That kind of a capability, exponential power. It's incredible what is possible. Look, in addition to the industry partners, several customers have also helped us shape our thinking for Enterprise Claude. And one of those is Citibank, which is leading a bold vision to reimagine banking. Please join me in welcoming Citi's Head of Functions, Technology, and Head of Enterprise Change, Julian. Julian, come on up. Good to see you again. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Julian, everyone knows Citi, but maybe just tell us the size and scope of it. I think this picture does a justice to it, but still.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, again, thank you so much for having me here. We have a great partnership, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to everyone here. So I've been at Citi for under 2 years, but I will tell you every day I'm amazed at the scale, scope, and complexity of the organization. We serve clients in 90 countries. We have 280,000 people and employees. In the technology organization, which I lead, we have almost 90,000 people, 45,000 developers.
Unbelievable.
The scale is...
You have more developers than many software companies.
The scale is fascinating.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating.
So tell us, how are you architecting Citi for the agentic era?
Yeah, so we've been at really looking at AI, or Gen AI, since really 2024, where we've started to do our first implementations. We've done AI, of course, like any other financial institutions for many years in our trading and market environment. But really looking at Gen AI since 2024, we work with most of the large frontier models. We've developed an infrastructure that enables us to connect our frontier models with our applications, with MCP services, and what have you. And then we have a lot of different point solutions across the organization, and quickly we realized this is just not going to scale, right? What our differentiator is the scale of our institution, the scale of our ability to serve clients. So we needed to develop one orchestration architecture, one development framework, where we would put all of our AI capabilities and then integrate across our businesses. And so we have actually developed an agent development framework environment. We're looking at all of our core processes across Citi, and then for each of those, we're looking at how do we actually orchestrate our solutions. Because we have so many developers, we like to build our own solutions, but we also realize that for speed and efficiency, it's good to partner with really strong capabilities in the market. That's where we have a lot of good relationships with you and at Automation Anywhere, and specifically in the orchestration layer space.
Right. How do you define the success criteria? Accuracy in a regulated industry, very important. How do you decide?
Yeah, so for us, there are really two components. One is client service, right? How do we actually bring AI to better serve our clients, to bring better products, to accelerate how fast we can actually deliver services to them, how fast we can open an account for them, how fast we can approve a loan, or what have you. So really, it's about speed. And then two, it's of course about accuracy. And so I think you mentioned earlier the concept of the semantic layer, and that really bring the context for the agents, and that's critical for us, right? We have probabilistic solutions, and we need deterministic answers, right?
That's right.
Responses to problems.
Yeah.
And that's where we actually build that semantic layer, where we can train the agents to actually learn the business, learn the clients, learn the data, and then enable them to make sure that the answer is systematically the same when the same set of
I think
data.
you said something that resonates with every regulated industry. How do you take a probabilistic agents, but we need deterministic answers, and how do you find that balance?
Yeah.
How do you, many of the companies in this space are stuck in pilots, and some people say there are more pilots than airlines. So how does Citi of your size, it doesn't get stuck in pilot?
Yeah, so it's a really, really good question, and I'm sure many people in the audience feel the same, right? Where you have a lot of different solutions, AI-based on solution that do not scale, right? And if it doesn't scale, it doesn't really bring the value that we're looking for. So we actually, as I mentioned, we started with having a lot of different pilots and agents kind of in different parts of the organization. And what we did is we decided to actually centralize all of it. I know many of my peers are saying they have 4,000 use cases. we actually decided to focus on 55 use cases.
55 is the magic
55
number.
processes.
55.
That's the first, that's our wave one.
Yeah.
But we wanted end-to-end processes, right? We wanted to start with the customer and then end with whether it's kind of the processing of the decision and with our reporting capabilities and with our finance and risk environment, our back end, if you will. And for each of these processes, we actually deploy these orchestration layers. We actually deploy the agent solutions. We started also to look at our risk and compliance environment, and we decided to agentify risk and compliance as well, so build agents that would enable risk managers to accelerate their review of the pilots and the solutions and the capabilities we developed so that we could go a lot faster in actually shipping products to the market, in developing new solutions for our clients.
That sounds like a great advice for all regulated industries, because one of the biggest hurdle is compliance and regulations and risk awareness. But if you help AI there, you can accelerate the entire AI journey.
Exactly, right. And we want to demonstrate that velocity doesn't go against governance, right? So we bring the two together, keeping human in the loop, making sure that risk managers are reviewing the decisions, reviewing the output of agents, and then providing a decision.
All right. So far, we talked about lots of mission-critical, business-critical processes. How are you reimagining IT?
Yeah, so it's key to a lot of corporations, right? So I think there's two parts of how we're looking at IT. One is, like I'm sure many people in the audience do, is bringing Agentic AI into the development lifecycle, the SDLC. And so how do we actually equip our developers with agents that will accelerate the development of new solutions and to some extent increase the quality of the code that we're developing. And then two is we want to get into an environment where we have self-maintained software. Right? And for us, it's really critical that we're developing software that will autonomously manage themselves and repairs and resolve issues. So we want to move into a zero-ticket environment where tickets are being resolved autonomously.
I love the idea of self-managed software. That's fantastic. That would be wonderful, isn't it? And the zero-ticket environment. Thank you, Julian, for joining us. Please give Julian a big, big round of applause. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
To tell you more about everything I've shared and make it even more real, please welcome our Chief AI and Development Officer, Adi.
In Dallas, Texas. We're really excited to see how our customers use Enterprise Claude within their mission-critical processes. We also have a ton of innovation to show you during this session. Well, NHS and Citibank are incredible examples of what success looks like in the autonomous era. Like these customers, organizations that have achieved successful outcomes all share a common characteristic, which is they're approaching AI with intention. They are intentional about the outcomes they're trying to achieve within their organizations. They're intentional about where they use AI within their mission-critical processes. And they're intentional about setting up the right governance structure so as to manage risk. We built the agentic process automation system with the same intention because enterprise environments are complex and unforgiving. So we engineered it to orchestrate all your instruments of work. Your AI agents, your deterministic automations, and human decisions all in one single unified system. With Mozart Orchestrator, we enable customers to automate their long-running, mission-critical processes end-to-end by connecting seamlessly into their existing IT estate. With our process reasoning engine, we bring 20 years of automation expertise and learnings from billions of process runs to deliver unmatched accuracy and reliability. And all this is wrapped into enterprise-grade governance, security, and observability for your most mission-critical outcomes. We've designed purpose-built solutions in IT, finance, service, and many more to accelerate your time to business value. Our entire goal here is to enable you to transform how your businesses operate. And all the innovations we've delivered so far have been to that end. We've announced major new offerings like Mozart Orchestrator, goal-based agents, computer use agents, model and agent benchmarking and evaluation tools, interoperability with any agentic system with support for model context protocol, and new solutions in autonomous service desk and in healthcare explanation of benefits. Now, there are many folks to thank for these incredible innovations, but I want to give a special shout out to our MVPs. Our community is successful because of you, because of your support. So a big thank you to all our MVPs. I know many of you are in the room with us tonight, or today. Thank you. So these innovations are not individual features. They're all part of a unified system that's built on 3 core pillars: universal orchestration, contextual intelligence, and centralized governance and observability. Now, these pillars are like the 3 legs of a stool. Each one is essential on its own, but combined together, they enable our customers to achieve outcomes others simply cannot deliver. Our first pillar is universal orchestration. And we chose that word universal intentionally, because while other vendors automate workflows within their respective silos, we orchestrate processes across all of them. Meet Mozart Orchestrator, our universal orchestration engine. Mozart orchestrates your most mission-critical, long-running business processes across your enterprise. It's the backbone, the workhorse of the APA system. Take a bank processing a commercial loan application. You have an automation verifying all the documents are in order, an AI agent assessing the risk of the applicant, and a human, typically a chief credit officer, having final say on whether to approve or reject that loan. Or a manufacturer dealing with a supply chain disruption. An automation checks inventory levels, typically in a system like SAP. An AI agent that uses that information to reroute orders in real time, while a plant manager steps in to handle exceptions. Different industries, different processes, but all powered by the very same engine. Now, here's what's unique about the Mozart Orchestrator. We've built it to seamlessly orchestrate across your entire IT estate. Your legacy systems, your modern cloud-based applications, your custom applications, document repositories, first and third-party agentic systems, and much, much more, with thousands of pre-built connectors and support for common protocols such as MCP and A2A. We've engineered it to orchestrate right close to where your data actually lives, in the cloud, within your firewalls, and even those hard-to-reach air-gapped environments. We've built it for real-world complexity and complex scenarios like event-driven execution and parallel processing. And since we launched this offering back in July of last year, we've seen incredible adoption across our customers, thousands of customers automating millions of processes, growing at a fast clip of over 90% month over month. Now, the way customers are building and deploying these automations is changing rapidly. Already, customers can build over 90% of the automation steps with natural language alone. But we haven't stopped there. Mihir announced this earlier today. I'm excited to announce Automation Anywhere Code, our next generation of agentic process design and deployment. With Automation Anywhere Code, customers can go from an idea to a fully deployed, production-ready automation in half the time. Build it, test it, deploy it, all within the same conversational experience, or if you prefer, for those developers and automation leaders who have their workflow tool of choice, we're opening up Automation Anywhere Code via MCP, so now you can build and deploy those mission-critical processes right within Codex, Cursor, Cloud Code, whatever your agentic tool of choice. Build and deploy fast, anywhere. Automation Anywhere Code is in preview now and goes generally available later this year. So if universal orchestration enables all the instruments of work to get moving, contextual intelligence powered by a process reasoning engine ensures they're all moving in the right direction. Kind of like Waze. So millions of drivers use, including myself, use Waze to go to their preferred destination, and Waze provides highly accurate directions based on real-time insights. So what's unique about Waze is it's not just its algorithms. It's the system of intelligence that it's created through insights from actual traffic flows. And the best part of it is it's constantly learning and adapting and getting better, so the next time you use its maps, they're even better than before. And that's exactly how we've built the process reasoning engine. We've built it from insights from billions of process runs across thousands of customers, delivering unmatched accuracy and reliability. It's what's powering all our AI offerings, whether it's building and deploying automations with greater than 90% accuracy, driving 70% and higher resiliency of your mission-critical deployments, or processing any document type, structured, semi-structured, unstructured documents like contracts and EOBs with greater than 95% accuracy. Outcomes simply impossible to achieve with just LLMs. It's the engine behind the incredible growth around AI agents on our platform, something we launched a little bit, I think about 18 months ago. Over 400% year-over-year growth. And just like Waze, the process reasoning engine is constantly adapting and learning. In fact, the more it runs, the better it gets. Now, don't just take a word for it. We tested the process reasoning engine against the Princeton Sierra Tau Bench, a well-known industry standard for AI agent evaluations. And our pre-powered agents were #1 across multiple domains and pass levels, including domains such as telecom, retail, and banking. Now, with the process reasoning engine, our focus continues to be to deliver the highest accuracy and reliability for your agentic processes. And retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, was a big part of that story. A lot of our customers use it, and it works. But something we've been thinking about is retrieval enough? Is there something more fundamental that we can do to improve accuracy and reliability of these processes? And here's what we learned. Agents need context, but more context isn't necessarily better. Relevant context is. Too little leads to errors and hallucinations. Too much introduces noise and latency. So the answer here is not more retrieval, it's smarter context. Announcing a context intelligence graph. Where other AI systems are built on general knowledge, the context intelligence graph is built on yours. Your policies, your systems of record, your knowledge bases, all structured into an ontology that reflects how your business actually works. And it's not only about retrieving information, it's about retrieving the right information for the right agent or human decision at exactly the right moment. And it compounds because every agent decision, every process execution, every exception case, every trace feeds back into its context graph, which is a living map of how your business actually operates. Now, we are seeing material improvements in goal completion with the context intelligence graph, with gains as high as 30% across multiple domains. Our context intelligence graph is in preview this summer and goes generally available later this year. So orchestration and intelligence are critical parts, critical pieces of end-to-end automation. But none of this actually matters if you can't trust your agentic workflows to execute the way you expect them to. And you really can't trust what you can't see. 98% of enterprises state that employees are already using unsanctioned AI tools, while another 20% of companies have already suffered a data breach because of shadow AI. Unmanaged agents problem is a major problem. It's not only expensive, it's also operationally dangerous. Governance isn't optional. Now, there's certain vendors who offer a control tower to solve this problem. But a tower that can only see its own kingdom, that's not governance. That's yet another silo with a view. We, in fact, provide end-to-end governance and observability across your entire process and agent estate, first and third party end-to-end. Not just ours, all of it. And frankly, we've been doing this for over 20 years now, orchestrating and governing your most mission-critical processes across the entire application estate. One single audit record for every process execution, not logs you stitch together after the fact. Full process visibility and troubleshooting help, whether it's process heat maps or adaptive process resiliency at runtime. Full AI governance for all your agents, first and third party, including masking of customer PII data, and new benchmarking and evaluation tools for both your models and agents that you can run at design time and in production so you can catch issues early and take corrective action where necessary. Trust that it works, know and act where it doesn't. And today we're expanding on our governance and observability pillar with process simulation. And here's the idea behind this. One of the reasons for delays for customers as they go from pilot to production is that there's no simple way to test real-world scenarios with realistic data. Well, that changes with process simulation. Not only can you test these different scenarios, but you can get real-time insights into every process execution, every API call, every bot action, every agent decision, so where you can validate expected results across different scenarios, catch integration issues early, and do all that without impacting your production systems. Process simulation is in preview this summer and go generally available later this year. Okay, so 3 core pillars: universal orchestration, contextual intelligence, centralized governance and observability. 3 pillars, 1 unified system built to orchestrate your most mission-critical business processes across your enterprise. Now let's see some demos. It's my pleasure to welcome our Chief Product Officer, Peter White, on stage. Peter?
Thank you, Adi. It's a pleasure to be with you all here today. Now, we all know the feeling. You've arranged your life around an important appointment and it falls apart at the last minute. That's frustrating when it's a meeting or a flight, but it's devastating when it's a surgery that you've waited months for. And each one of those cancellations for the hospital is a surgeon standing idle, an OR left empty, and a patient sent home without care. County General Hospital was facing this problem at scale, with over $100 million in lost revenue when pre-op requirements weren't met. Let's see how they were able to turn this around with the power of agentic process automation. Jason, let's see the demo. Welcome, Jason. All right, our demo begins when Marcus, our developer, logs in to his surgical operations center. Here, he sees a centralized view of every process, agent, value metric, control, and more across the hospital, including things like third-party agents like those running in Epic. What he notices right away is this surgery rescheduling rate has been going up, and the lost revenue in the orthopedics department alone is exceeding $1 million. He can click into a notification about this problem to see the process analytics view, which shows the surgical readiness process. This process ensures both the hospital and the patient are ready for the surgery ahead of time or reschedules it if they're not. We can see the increase in the number of flow paths going through the rescheduling route. And to get to the source of this, we need to look upstream. First, we can check the find OR slot agent. And with our runtime evals, we can see this agent has been performing well. Runtime evals are critical to bring you confidence and insights to the critical agents in your process. Next, he checks the manual coordinator review step. And there, we see the problem. The number of coordinator reviews that have failed has been increasing due to the pre-op requirements not being met. This is the problem that Marcus needs to fix. So from here, he can open up this process in our Mozart orchestrator. This uses our dynamic and stateful engine to orchestrate this process across agents, automations, and people. We launched Mozart Orchestrator last year and have since added many new capabilities like parallel processing, dynamic task assignment, event-driven orchestration, and native agent integration. Now, Marcus is going to open up Automation Anywhere code. Here, he can quickly build entire processes through an agentic conversation. He simply describes the pre-op requirements he wants to be checked, and our agent uses the contextual awareness of the hospital to build out a plan and a preview of the process updates. Now, Marcus could view and edit this if he wants, and once he's happy, he'll give it the go-ahead to build that. This agentic buildings with Automation Anywhere code significantly speeds your development time and even opens this up to non-developers. Now that our process has been updated, we can see a new surgical readiness agent that's added before the manual coordinator review step. He can open that up in our AI Agent Studio. Here, he has the goal for the agent and data sources with our new context intelligence graph. From these data sources, we automatically generate the ontologies and relationships that map critical connections between data unique to County General Hospital. This is the key to agent accuracy, because the agent can find and retrieve the most relevant data sources across patient records, medical procedures, payer information, and more. All right, the agent also has access to a set of tools like third-party agents, automations, and even our new Enterprise Claude agents that it can use. This all looks good, so let's go back to that surgical readiness process and test it end to end. With our new simulations capability, we can generate sample scenarios and data, mock systems call, and ensure that every branch of this process is performing as expected. This significantly speeds your development time because it's avoiding costly rework down the line. Now, with our simulations passed, we can go ahead, wrap up our UAT testing, and get this into production. Now, let's see how this is helping one patient, Margaret Chen, who's scheduled for a total knee replacement later this week. We can go behind the scenes and see that process we just updated running. It triggers that new surgical readiness agent, which is coordinating a set of different agents to ensure Margaret's readiness for surgery. Some of these agents are running in our scalable cloud environment. Others are running behind the hospital firewall, next to the critical data and applications the hospital uses. If we go into one of those agents, an Enterprise Claude agent that's checking for anesthesia clearance, we can see it running in a secure local environment. It starts by using the anesthesia application to look for a clearance for Margaret. And when it doesn't find it, it checks another application, the cardiology application, adapting it to the scenario just as a person would. There, it finds a clearance, but it goes one step further. It uses a document tool to parse this PDF and contextual intelligence about patient information and hospital policies to determine this particular clearance is no longer valid. If we go back to our surgical readiness agent, we can see imaging passed, labs passed, but that anesthesia clearance is still missing. So our agent decides to escalate this for review. Let's now see how Sarah, our surgical coordinator, can handle this. She logs into the surgical scheduling solution, where she sees a complete view of all the surgeries scheduled across the hospital in the next few days. And at the top, she sees a notification about Margaret's case and that missing clearance. She can open this up in Copilot. And the first thing it does is suggest to find resolution paths for this. When she gives that the go-ahead, this will do the work of finding ways to keep Margaret's surgery on schedule. It uses past execution data and hospital policies to figure out what is the most likely way to avoid rescheduling this surgery. It comes back with a recommendation to send a priority clearance request and escalate this to the head of cardiology. This insight is based on the continual learning of our process reasoning engine in determining what has worked most effectively in the past at resolving similar situations. This sounds good to Sarah, so she takes that option, and now our agent's gonna get those notifications sent out and make sure that Margaret's OR slot is held. Let's go back and see how this is performing across the entire hospital. Marcus logs back into that surgical operations center. Here he sees that issue with the surgery reschedulings is no longer there, and the lost revenue in the orthopedics department has turned around. Even better, as they're rolling this process out to the entire hospital, they're projecting over 100 million in total annual savings across all surgical departments. Thanks for the demo, Jason. This is how one hospital was able to recover over $100 million in revenue. Revenue that can be used to do things like build a new pediatrics wing or hire more nurses and avoid those painful last-minute reschedulings for patients. And no other platform can deliver this end-to-end. They lack the breadth to connect to every hospital system or the intelligence to operate those agents at the accuracy required for critical tasks. And with our new context intelligence graph and Enterprise Claude agents, we're extending the possibilities of agentic process automation even further. Now, our solutions, like the healthcare one you just saw, go beyond this. We have many solutions pre-built by Automation Anywhere and Partner that come with the proven best practices, workflows, and experiences, ready for you to configure and start seeing results today. One of these solutions that's seen incredible growth is our autonomous service desk. IT service is an industry long overdue for disruption from the legacy seat and ticket-based IT vendors. And I, for one, am very excited about the end of the era of creating a ticket for every request and waiting days for someone to respond. In fact, I'm so excited, I dressed for the occasion. Some IT departments at some of the largest companies in the world have deployed our autonomous service desk and are seeing an over 80% automated resolution rate without ever creating a ticket. Each one of those is a great experience for an employee and adds up to big savings for the business, cutting their SaaS tax and overall service desk costs. While other vendors might claim to be able to resolve tickets autonomously, their basic Q&A capabilities simply cannot touch the level of automated resolution that our contextual intelligence, our universal orchestration, and our domain-specific IT agents provide. And this isn't just theoretical. We've resolved over 1 billion requests for our customers. For customers like BDO, one of the largest services firms in the world, they've deployed autonomous service desk to their thousands of employees and are seeing an 84% automated resolution rate. That's great experiences for their employees and millions saved for their business. And we're making it even easier for every customer to get here. First, we eliminated the SaaS tax. Then, we eliminated tickets. Now, we're eliminating the configuration tax. With our new IT agent blueprints, it's easier than ever to configure and get value today from new agents. These are agents like employee onboarding, hardware requests, change management, and more. And with our new setup experience, you simply describe what you need and your agent is ready to deploy. Now, I want to show you how this is helping one of our customers in the technology industry, Voltris. They've deployed autonomous service desk and are saving over $20 million in total service desk costs. For our demo, I'd like to welcome up Emily. Come on up. Emily, I love the shirt. All right. Carla, our IT manager at Voltris, logs into their console, where she sees that laptop procurement escalations are up and the #1 issue driver today. There are hundreds of these happening per week. Now, to start automating these requests, she can choose an agent from our blueprint library and get it configured for Voltris. Once she does that, she'll start by simply confirming the connections she already has for her business. Then she needs to provide the procedures around laptop requests specific to Voltris. She can do this through natural language or by uploading a procedures document, which she has in this case. Now, once our document is analyzed, it is automatically configured an agent specific to Voltris, which she can review. This agent has things like the persona, guardrails, ontologies, and more. Under the covers, this agent is using Mozart Orchestrator, which is our engine to blend agentic and deterministic orchestration across even the most complex flows, like this laptop procurement and new catalog onboarding process that spans multiple users and different systems like SAP, Workday, ServiceNow, and others. Now from here, she could test and edit this agent, and then once she's happy, she can publish it to get it to the employees. Let's see now how this is helping one employee, Alex, who's a video and motion designer at Voltris. Alex gets a proactive notification while using Adobe Premiere Pro that her laptop is running slowly. When she opens up the assistant, she sees an option to run a diagnostic to figure out what the source of that slowness is. When she launches that, our agent will now start working through that process, including launching an Enterprise Claude sub-agent to her laptop to analyze system logs and other data to determine the root cause. It comes back and suggests that her slowness is due to an older laptop that's being overwhelmed. And it automatically takes the next step to start generating recommendations for a new laptop. Now, while other systems might provide a generic catalog here, we can dynamically capture all the relevant context about that employee, including their profile, IT policy information, even usage data, to provide the most tailored set of recommendations for Alex. It comes back with 3 options. 2 of these laptops are available today, and a third is a new device type, so it requires a more complex onboarding process. That's the one Alex wants, though. So she requests the laptop, and we kick off the process to get her that laptop painlessly. This is where other systems create tickets, but we can take this through to fulfillment using the Mozart Orchestrator and process reasoning engine. And with contextual intelligence, we can provide proactive recommendations about temporary solutions for Alex, like a cloud workstation or a loaner laptop. She doesn't need these for now, but it's great to know they're there for her if she wants them. Now, after a few days, Alex obviously wants to check the status of her laptop. And to do that, she doesn't need to go into a cumbersome ticketing system. She simply opens up the assistant and chooses, "Where's my laptop?" That comes back and indicates her laptop has been shipped and should be here soon. All right, a few more days go by, and Alex gets the much anticipated notification that her laptop has been delivered. And when she opens up the assistant, it's proactively providing knowledge articles to help her set that laptop up, as well as instructions on returning her old laptop. This has been a painless and fully automated process for Alex from end to end. Great for her and great for the business. Now, let's zoom out and see how this is performing more broadly. Carla logs back into her console, and she sees that the number of those laptop procurement escalations has dropped significantly with this new agent. And the system is ready to generate the next agent from the Blueprint library she can launch to further increase their resolution rate. Thank you, Emily. This is how Voltris has been able to automate over 80% of their service desk requests and can increase that with each new agent that they launch. And our innovation and intelligence around automated resolution continues to outpace the ticket-focused ITSM vendors. With our new multi-agent orchestration, as well as our improved continuous learning from feedback, we will further increase the automated resolution rate for every employee request. Now, our solutions do not stop with pre-built options like our autonomous service desk. With our Automation Anywhere code and our solutions framework, you can build any solution as a complete application, from experience to workflows to data and agents to the controls and governance. This means your business users get the results they want, and you avoid stitching together fragmented products from different vendors, or even from the same vendor. Our early adopters of this have been able to go from idea to production-ready solution in as little as 1 week. And as Adi and Mihir said, we're excited now to get this into the hands of all of our customers and partners to take advantage of. Now, there's been a lot of innovation we shared with you here today, and I'd encourage you to take the next steps. And one of those is to go outside and get hands-on with these products at our booths, including booths like Jumpstart Your Agentic Journey, which will give you tailored recommendations on how to extend your automation estate to agentic process automation. And for you builders out there, you can get started right here at Imagine on your AI Engineer certification. Now, to tell you how to accelerate your entire organization's journey to an autonomous enterprise, I'm excited to welcome to the stage our co-founder and COO, Ankur Kothari. Ankur?
Thank you, Peter. Good morning. Well, enterprise tech loves two things: buzzwords and renaming the same idea every few months. This has always been true, but especially in last 1 year. The unprecedented pace of innovation has made market very, very noisy. No wonder it is very hard for leaders to separate signal from noise. Now, over the last 1 year, in my hundreds of conversations with leaders around the world, some are sitting in this room, there is a very common pattern that is emerging. The excitement around AI is very real, but so is the exhaustion. The exhaustion of learning new language and concepts and how to separate what's impressive from what will meaningfully change how my company operates. And beneath all the new language, a real shift is happening. For decades, enterprise software was designed to track work, to log it, to route it, to measure it, to create dashboards around it. Now, for the first time, software can execute the work itself. AI is moving from answering questions to executing work. And the companies that has understood that shift first will redefine their industries. A few years ago, we introduced this shift and called it the autonomous enterprise. Since then, industry has introduced its own versions. Some call it agentic enterprise, some call it agentic business, some call it AI first enterprise, so on and so forth. Similar meaning names, but there is an important distinction I want to point out. An enterprise does not become autonomous just because it has many AI agents. It becomes autonomous when the work completes itself. Now, when we introduced the term of autonomous enterprise at Imagine a few years ago, some people asked us, why not just call it agentic AI, like everyone eventually will? And I remember having a very strong debate in Automation Anywhere about this. Agents matter. Models matter a lot. But the enterprise, no one cares or no one gets rewarded because you have few AI agents deployed or you have a model deployed. And that is why we chose the term autonomous enterprise. Not because agents matter less, but because outcomes matter more. The future will not be won by companies with most AI agents deployed or the models deployed. It will be won by those who will use the platform that reasons across the enterprise and orchestrate work end-to-end between people, systems, AI agents, workflows, documents, processes, operating together as a single fabric for the work to get done. That is the shift that is now underway across the entire enterprise software industry. But that is the future we've been building towards for many years now. And one question I want to take head on is, why is our view of autonomous enterprise more transformative, more real, more future-proof than anything else you've been sold? For 2 years, many companies have bought AI just like they bought SaaS, in silos. Few co-pilots here, few pilot projects there, few point solutions here, a model fine-tuned for a particular purpose. Some companies have so many AI pilots that they need a pilot to manage their pilots. And the result? 60 AI agents. You have 200 SaaS apps with conversational AI and Copilot for each one of those apps. So now not only I have to understand every app and log into that, but I also have to understand how to work with each of the Copilot, leading to 400, 500 workflows, all this complexity, and still the work doesn't complete itself. The models are here, the agents are here, but the general intelligence is not enterprise intelligence. The real problem to solve is, how do AI agents, workflow, system, people, they all coordinate to finish work reliably based on enterprise intelligence, keeping in mind the context of the business you are operating. And that is the missing layer. That layer is the enterprise AI execution layer. And that's where our view of autonomous enterprise is unique and real. That is not few agents working together. That is an architecture to apply AI in your enterprise. System of record will store the data. Models will provide great intelligence. Agents will execute given a goal. But enterprise now needs something above all of them. It needs a unified execution layer that can orchestrate work based on business's contextual intelligence across every system. It can govern AI's execution and ensure that the work completes end to end. And that's why we built the contextual intelligence graph, to give AI something the models alone simply cannot have: context. Now, every major software company today is talking about AI agents. Real efforts, serious teams. We respect everything that is being built out there. Every vendor is racing at this from somewhere. Racing from a productivity suite, racing from a CRM, racing from a workflow engine, racing from a system of record. Their agents live where their platforms are the strongest. We are not racing from anywhere. We were built for orchestration from the beginning. For 20+ years, our job has been to make your system work together for your people, for your teams. And that is why our agents work where the enterprise actually work, across every application, across every systems, across every workflow that you already have. Now, Mihir introduced the 3 laws of the autonomous enterprise. The first one is at a process level, where up to 80% of the business critical processes in any function can run in an autonomous or an assisted mode. People step in only when they are needed, and where it matters, you reimagine the process, does not just automate what you have. The second law is at the system level. It's the decoupling of your SaaS stacks from your growth. This changes the role of system of record. ServiceNow for ITSM, Salesforce for sales, Zendesk for support, it changes all the roles. Many system of records charge per seat, per user, per AI agent. And as your business grows, your software bill grows with it, linear and locked in. In an autonomous enterprise, that line breaks. Revenue grows, but your SaaS spend doesn't grow. Now, these system of records form a very important scaffolding around your business. And this scaffolding does not have to grow at the same rate at which your business grows. In fact, repurposing the system of record to be more outcome focused than seat license focused, it will allow them to deliver much more value to your business than before. The value you can take and reinvest back into growth and your people. And that brings me back to the third law, which is the people, at a people level, which is the most important stakeholder. Every professional becomes a 3x professional in an autonomous enterprise. Every role gets transformed. Every professional can pick up new skill ranges and higher leverage, delivering much better business outcomes. 3 laws: processes, system, and people, all moving at the same time in sync to create a flywheel. Apply them to one department with our autonomous solutions based on our API platform, and you can make that function autonomous in 2 to 3 years. Apply them to other functions in parallel, and you have a recipe to become autonomous enterprise in few years. So how do we get there? Mihir gave you the vision. You heard from customers like NHS and Citi, who are already establishing lead in terms of creating an autonomous enterprise in their industries. Adi and Peter showed you the platform and solution that will empower you to accelerate that path. Last year, I shared the blueprint to make your customer service autonomous. Today, I'm going to show you how to take one function, IT, and make it autonomous, and repeat that formula across every function. So let's get started. What I'm about to show you is not just a roadmap. This is the autonomous IT solution. We are not saying build few use cases here, and once you do them, by that time, we'll figure out what next to do. This autonomous IT solution is built on our API platform. We have deployed this in our company as customer 1. And we have co-created this with some forward-leaning customers so that their best practices are embedded in it. At this Imagine, this solution and many other solutions are presented at the demo stations outside and in the breakout sessions. Now, autonomous IT solutions has 12 sub-functions, the most critical end-to-end IT processes. 45 AI agents are there in the solutions. We have built one operating system that brings together your processes, your system, your people, the governance, and the execution all inbuilt in one solution. Now, when we say autonomous IT, we do not just say automating IT help desk. We mean transforming the entire IT organization. Service desk, infrastructure, security ops, GRC, FinOps, app dev, everything. Now, using our autonomous service desk solution powered by Icera, up to 80% of IT tickets can be auto-resolved. 80% auto-resolved. So long we've been focused on the problem, which is the ticket, not the outcome, which is auto-resolution. This brings it front. Using the API platform and the process reasoning engine, up to 80% of core IT processes can run in an autonomous or an assisted mode. And with our Copilot and Agentic solution workspace and the new Enterprise Claude, every IT professional gets a path to become a 3x professional. Before deployment begins, we can establish the baseline in terms of all the important metrics. The tech stack you have, the tickets you have, your systems, your teams, your processes, and then we build the business case. We can build that inside the solution in terms of the top line impact you want, the bottom line improvement you are shooting for, the risk reduction, and the competitive advantage you are trying to create by getting to autonomy. The workforce evolution path for your teams is designed alongside the function evolution. For example, the service desk engineer becomes an AI ops specialist. Security teams develop new skills like dealing with threat intelligence and making sure they are ensuring the governance of AI. Same people, new skills, higher leverage. We have mapped a prescriptive 3-year glide path with quarterly plans and outcome it delivers. A solution with building blocks you need to get to autonomy in 2 to 3 years. And as you deploy the solution and build more AI agents and automations, it maps how top business critical IT processes are becoming autonomous. The rollout itself is phased. There is a 90-day plan that is inbuilt, so you can show to your leadership the outcomes you are delivering in 90 days. Outcomes like your L1 incidents becoming autonomous, like excess provisioning running automatically, audit preparations compressing from weeks to days. The impact is across all domains of IT. You start with service desk and identity, but slowly and surely you expand to cloud ops and security ops and so on and so forth. And security and governance are inbuilt in this from day one. That's how IT becomes autonomous, powered by hundreds of innovation in our APA platform and our ISERA's autonomous service desk solution that changes the unit economics and operating model of IT. Now, IT is just one example. We have built autonomous solutions for IT, customer support, finance, HR, service desk, banking, supply chain. 4 of these solutions, autonomous IT, autonomous finance, autonomous HR, and autonomous support, we are showcasing them at Imagine at the demo booths and various breakout sessions. The technology, the platform, and the formula showcased in autonomous IT example are portable across every department. Now, every department has a unit of work. Your customer service has the cases. In HR, it's employee requests. In contact center, it's the calls. In procurement, it's requisitions. In supply chain, it's the order. Every one of those units of work can run autonomously, and that is why this is much bigger than automating few processes. Because once autonomous execution starts spreading across different functions, the value compounds. Now, today, every function operates inside its own system of record that's charging you per seat, per user, per AI agent. Well, all these amazing system of records are doing some really cool things with AI. Salesforce will make CRM smarter. ServiceNow will make ITSM smarter. Microsoft will make productivity smarter. But there is an important difference between these system of records applying AI and our vision of autonomous enterprise. These applications says that bring your work to me and I will apply AI. In an autonomous enterprise, we say, I will go where the work needs to go, where it exists, and I will apply contextual intelligence of your business to orchestrate work. Big difference. And that is what Automation Anywhere was always built to do. Not to replace any of the system of records, but not to force your enterprise into one application suite, but to coordinate work across everything you already have. And when AI begins orchestrating that work, function by function, enterprise itself starts operating differently, and that is where the flywheel begins. 2 years in, that is not the same company you started with. Margins expand, growth accelerates, risk starts going down, and compliance becomes continuous. New operating leverage starts showing up across all these departments, and that is autonomous enterprise. Not few AI agents, not few co-pilots, not few pilot programs, not few point solutions, but a new operational architecture where the work increasingly completes itself. Now, something I think about a lot is leadership and making tough decisions. And over the next few months, leaders and everyone in this room are going to make decisions that may look incremental at the moment, but will become foundational later. Picture two companies beginning their AI journey together. One deploys co-pilots, agents, few use cases, and other accelerates their journey to become autonomous enterprise function by function. At first, they look identical, incremental. But 2 years later, the divergence becomes impossible to ignore. One company still operates through queues, approvals, handoffs, while the other operates through autonomy. One has improved productivity, but the other has changed its economics. One company is still experimenting with AI, while the other is compounding advantage from it. That is when the moat opens up. By year 2, company B has a moat, and by year 3, that moat is simply uncrossable. This is why the AI era will create separation faster than any other previous tech waves. This is where the race will start separating. History rarely announces disruption politely. It usually rewards the companies that moved before the consensus is formed. That is where we are with AI right now. AI's impact on reshaping the work is obvious. The experiments are done. The pilots have happened. Even the early success stories at scale have been shared. The race to become an autonomous enterprise has already begun. Make no mistake about it. This is not a journey. This is a race. It's a race with real-time pressures and real winners. And you already have everything you need to get started now. You have the technology, you have the roadmap, you have the expertise, you have the executive's attention. You have customers like Citibank, NHS, Accenture, already proving this works at scale. So now comes the leadership decision. Where do you move first? Which function in your company will lead by example and drive towards autonomy and compound value? This decade will not be defined by companies that experimented with AI. It will be defined by companies that built AI into the operating system of their business. And maybe the simplest way to think is that in near future, the most expensive employee or the most unhappiest customer in an enterprise will be the one waiting for a workflow to move. Autonomous enterprise is no longer a vision. It is now a leadership decision, and the moment to lead is now and build the autonomous enterprise before your competitors do. Because the era of managing work is ending, and the era of orchestrating autonomy has begun. Thank you very much. Have a great show. Thank you.
Welcome back. The next 5 years will bring about a century's worth of transformation. And AI is the once-in-a-lifetime chance to rewire work in ways that break down the industrial age illusions and help us finally maximize human potential once and for all. The topic of the book, The 5-Year Century, is just this. The book was released today, and this is the book that Mihir and I have had the privilege of co-authoring. In the last year, we had many, many conversations on this topic. We conversed with customers in 90 countries, heads of state, heads of large enterprises, heads of labor unions, heads of HR, workers who are leading the revolution, and workers who are concerned about the change. We've spoken with people from Silicon Valley to rural Africa. We've advised various governments on AI regulations and their desire for sovereignty. We've worked with university professors, leading AI education, as well as students to whom this technology comes naturally. And we've spoken to many of you in this room. We are so grateful to all of you who shared your experiences and had an impact on our thinking. All of these conversations were the inspiration for this book. And while we cannot dedicate it to each of you individually, you were foremost in our minds as we wrote it. We hope that it is enriching and helpful to you and to anyone who picks it up. We hope it's tasty and nutritious. For those of you who ordered the book in advance, I have to thank you for the overwhelming response. We've just learned today that the book is likely to be named a national bestseller as early as next week. Thank you. All of you should have a copy as our gift to you on your seat, and there are additional copies outside the auditorium. So we hope you will read it. We hope you will enjoy it. We hope you will share it with anyone who you think might be interested in it. On the back cover, there's a QR code that takes you to a website with more exclusive content and assessments to help you on your transformation, I was going to say journey, but I think it's race now, on your transformation race. We hope it is helpful. Some of the assessments actually aren't going to be available till later today, so please don't get on your phone right this minute and see if you've got a tool that can help. And now I'd like to bring back to the stage our co-founder and the COO of Automation Anywhere, Ankur Kothari, and welcome our special guest, Manish Sharma, Chief Strategy and Services Officer at Accenture. Thank you.
Finally, thank you. I'm personally so happy to see you at our event after so many years. For everyone, this partnership has been 15 years partnership, and it has seen so many phases of this industry evolution. A lot of our partnership kind of reflects how the industry has evolved and gone from strength to strength. First, I really want to welcome you. When we talk about autonomous enterprise, outcomes at scale, you cannot think of any bigger or better name than Accenture, who is always operating at scale. And first time I met you 15 years ago, I heard the word scale, and it has just scaled from there. So welcome. Welcome, Manish.
First of all, I think thank you for having me here, and thanks for all of you being in this good meeting here. I think just want to reflect a bit because he just mentioned about 15 years. We started really, really small. I would say that along with Mihir, Ankur, we have been the pioneers. And I think that I still remember, when we were in Mumbai with our first automation that we did together. It was incredible that we could just see everything working in front of us. And this partnership, it has gone through RPA, through the agentic era, now all powered by AI. Yeah. It has been a partnership where I will say a lot of honesty, a lot of transparency, and a lot of tense moments. But I will say that, Ankur, you and Mihir have always been there when I called you if we had a problem. And that is kind of what I will say is partnership all about. But it is about scale. It is about deploying it in our client's environment, making them successful. And I think it has been a fantastic journey.
It is. And especially at this phase, I'm personally very excited about how our partnership has evolved now. And what excites you most now, where our partnership is?
So I think just for all our colleagues here, so we have been working together, as he said, for 15 years. And I will still say that we believe that the potential of even RPA, which we started our journey with, still is not fully, the potential has not been unleashed. I'm talking about such a basic stuff, right? And now when we see AI coming in, and that is when we met and we had a discussion, I think this is going to unleash the next level of growth. I think what it has created, what I call, is another decade of huge work that we need to do across enterprises. And we actually took our partnership to a different level We call it ESP, the Ecosystem Strategic Partnership, ESP. And we actually had I think it started, almost 8 months back, where we are seeing a partnership evolve from doing pieces, but now we talk about enterprise reinvention. And that is where they've become a huge partner with us, where we are going, linking it to outcomes for our clients and looking it across the enterprise. So for me, it is one of the most proudest moments in our partnership.
Me too. Becoming one of the very few ESP partners you have.
Correct.
And scaling that partnership from platform to solution to the whole autonomous enterprise and connecting it to your reinvention services, super exciting. So talking about reinvention services, the ambition, when you think of ambition, that's very ambitious, and Accenture has completely transformed, reimagined, reorganized entire around reinvention services. You are the Chief Strategy and Services Officer leading this. This was your vision. You guys were driving this. You're not just talking about it. You're completely reorganized about it. Tell us more. Tell us this room about that and how everything fits in, how we fit in, but more importantly, what is that vision of reinvention?
So I will say that this was part of the complaints that I used to hear from Ankur all the time. And his complaint used to be that, Manish, you are 750,000 people. You have got strategy, consulting, technology, operations, and song. Sometimes I'm only interacting with your operations people. Sometimes I'm interacting with your technology people. And I think AI changed everything. So we changed all, across our organization, across the 750, 800,000 folks, where we said we will have only personas. Because one of the things that we jointly want to do is end-to-end process transformation. And for that, we divided the organization now from a go-to-market perspective with 7 personas. 1, anything that a CEO or a COO wants. Second, anything that song or customer, chief marketing officer, they want. Then you have got CISO, which is the cybersecurity part of it. That was the 3rd persona. 4th one was CFO, then the CHRO, CIO, which is, many of you are out here. So we kind of created the personas, and then we put for each persona all the skills required across strategy, consulting, technology, or operations, all put together, in one single place. So it became easy for our ecosystem partners. It became easy for our clients whom we are serving, that they know if there is a finance transformation, there is one person who has got all the skill sets across the patch. So it is because of AI, because of the way we want to do now the reinvention part with our clients. That is what we really wanted to accomplish as we went into this reinvention journey.
So as you're doing this, and I love this whole continuous motion, right? You take like one persona or one department and you're completely reinventing them. And your clients you have 9,000 clients. You are pretty much in a boardroom every week. You're meeting leaders every week, many, many leaders. How are they taking this? What are they seeing? What they have on the top of their mind, and what conversations you are driving?
So it's very interesting. It would have been great to kind of hear, even from audience, but do you know what is our fastest growing service right now? So we are growing in cybersecurity, we are growing in AI services, AI as a managed services. The fastest growing service of Accenture today is token optimization services. And the reason is when we go to most of the boardrooms and everybody else, people have got all the pieces that is there. Token activity, token usage is record high. But then the CEOs are asking us, tell me which line item am I getting my ROI in the P&L? So the biggest right now, if we were to ask, in our boardrooms and the client discussion is, can you link the massive AI wave to an ROI, and it has got to be a linked item. So either revenue should increase, either the cost of goods and services should come down, or SG&A should come down. I think that is the biggest, discussion point. Where is the ROI? And please do not use token activity and the token usage to say how much AI you are doing, because it could be for making a lot of charts. It could be for making meeting minutes and all the good stuff and doing some research and analysis and everything else. Where is the linkage to outcomes? So I think that is the biggest discussion point. And I think we are now virtually going to the clients and saying, we really need to have, before you even start any activity, what is the baseline for that line item, when it is going to increase, and what is the outcome that you desire, and by what time. And I think that is the biggest discussion point across all our clients. And that is why I was kind of talking about the token optimization services, because the clients are saying, can you help me? My token costs are skyrocketing, and I'm not seeing anything from an output or an ROI perspective in most of my clients.
So that one of the things we were talking earlier, and in general, there's been conversations, at least I am having, is outcomes, right? But when you see out there is tremendous noise. When you think from the audience, they may be dealing with so many technologies, so many different jargons, new buzzwords. The ecosystem is exploding. And Accenture works across a very broad set of ecosystem. Now, it'll be good for get your perspective from the audience standpoint, saying that, okay, so many ecosystem, how are you kind of separating signal from noise? How are you, because there's no end to this thing exploding and learning every day. How do you put it to work? How do you put it to outcome? How do you do that? Where to place bets?
So I think a few things, right? And I will just ask, all our colleagues here to kind of draw a mental picture of what I call as 3 circles. In the middle is what I call as the core processes of a company. If you look at the one circle beyond that, it is about enabling processes. And the last circle is peripheral processes. When you are deploying AI, most of the AI deployment is happening in the peripheral processes. And that is why you are not seeing the ROI on this, because peripheral processes is you are improving the coffee time and ability to chit chat and kind of get our folks there. The real value will come only if you attack the core processes of an enterprise. And for me, the big thing about working with clients is, and we are working, as you can say, probably more than 2,000 clients where we are doing AI. How do we ensure that we get to the real core processes, whether it is in pharma, the clinical development cycle, cutting down those processes, figuring out which clinical trials to go ahead with? How do you kind of go and get revenue increase? I personally believe that AI massive focus which you are seeing across the patch, which is talking about increase in productivity and all those things. The real value which we are seeing with many clients is about how to increase the revenue. In one of the consumer goods clients that we are working, you are party to that, but there, this thing has been in a very tough market. As a consumer goods company, we have been able to increase the sales through usage of AI, identifying which patterns, where to go, being much more nimble in terms of stock fulfillment. Just look at all the inventories and some of the supply chain challenges we have. We are seeing a massive opportunity. I think there is billions of dollars worth of opportunities, but we need to start focusing on the core of the company rather than all the peripheral processes. And some of the agents that we have right now in the market, they are still attacking the peripheral processes. They are not going to the industry core value chain. That is where the maximum value resides. And that is when you start seeing big ROI coming out of this.
And then how do you kind of stitch together that lens of all the ecosystem partners. You are partnering with many, many players. How do you see that?
I think right now it is about orchestration. We are working with hundreds of clients with Automation Anywhere. But if you just look at many places, it is AWS, Automation Anywhere, and Accenture coming together to solve. And you will have to find the right ecosystem partner, the right model for doing the work. You don't need to use the most advanced model for doing all the places. So right model, right cloud partner, the combination is extremely important. And I will just say one more thing, right? Technology is ready. I think the enterprise traffic is so much that you're not able, either some companies don't have the vision or they don't know how to kind of go through the full road, which is full of potholes. It's like, and I always give that example, you land into, and I don't know, I'm sure many of you have been to the Bangalore airport and you go to the center of the city, you can use the fastest car. It will always be slowed down by the enterprise, the road traffic and the potholes and everything else that is there. I believe that is the biggest, this thing. Technology is ready. You have some destination, but you don't know how to navigate the enterprise traffic, which is extremely heavy. And for that, you require a combination of ecosystem partners. It is not like Accenture alone can do something or Automation Anywhere can do something. We always have to have the right partners along with us to kind of execute and get to the ROI. So I think the need for an ecosystem partnership and ecosystem orchestration today is the highest that I have ever seen, in my 32 years with the firm, actually.
Well said. But you are not just always orchestrating this for your client. You are also one of the biggest customer of all these technologies. Your scale is unprecedented. It's one of the highest scale. And I know you, before you even talk partnership, you first use it. And you use it as first customer, and then you go. So tell us how Accenture is now bringing this agentic automation and all in your enterprise.
So and I think it is, we have been always deploying technology first for Accenture as customer zero. I will not take anything out till the time I've tested and proven it within Accenture. Even when, I remember when Ankur first came 15 years back, or 14 and a half years, if I remember the date correctly. First we said, let us do this for Accenture HR. The first project that we did together was with Accenture HR. So all the stuff that we are doing on AI, we have got single pane of glass, all the reporting stuff that we have sorted, we have dramatically reduced our headcount by 90%. And we have got some real increase in the way we are doing our sales and some of the pieces. We want to first deploy in our own environment. So whatever we release for our clients, I want to do this with, that is what we did with yourself. All stuff that of Automation Anywhere, first we did it with us, and then only, I will take it, I always want to check, does it really work? And what is the best place to check? Because I'm a bit of a cynic on most of the stuff that comes out in the, with what people tell me, and I test it out. And it has paid, I think for us, if I look at across the last 4 years, we have been on a journey. We probably have saved more than a couple of $1 billion. $1 billion. So it's not like hundreds or one, it is billions of dollars, around this. And I think we have also made some public statements around the exact this thing, but it has been, and I will say that you really need to test it. You need to have the patience to drive it. And I will say the 5 things on when you are deploying AI, and that we learned it ourselves and then we kind of went out. First is, are your processes right? Do not identify bad processes. Because that is the fundamental thing that we always have been talking about. Second one is your data ready? Data has to be, in the right place. Third one is, do you really have, what I call as the right digital core for you to kind of amplify this? Now, the next two, which I'm going to say, are the first three people kind of understand. Tech, we have been talking about data, we have been talking about process is important. But the last two, which I will say, one is the operating model. I think that is going to be the biggest challenges, because when you are doing some of the stuff, you got to do this across processes. Please do not automate tasks. So operating model has to be right. And the fifth one, again, a very critical one, do you have the talent to really do this? I was just yesterday with the CFO, and he was saying, I've known him for 2 decades virtually, working with him on different, in his different companies. And he said, Manish, why can't I get this? I kind of laid down all the challenges that are there. The environment is not ready. The talent is not ready. Blockages by everybody when we want to deploy it. I think there is a lot of stuff around when people, they do some small stuff, pilots, and they kind of move and make a video and put it in LinkedIn and everything else, and then you kind of see where did it finally land, and you really don't have the outcomes there. So from pilots to profits, from pilots to real P&L impact, I think is going to be the key for us.
From pilots to production to profits. That's the one line that we've been speaking. Before we close, quick 30 seconds for the audience. Any one final word on how they go from here to their office, what should they do?
I will just say AI is real. It is probably the most, I will say, the technology that has kind of really, even impressed a cynic like to me, where I've seen the real outcomes. And I would just want you to go from pilots to production to be real P&L impact. Before you start any more projects, if you can just identify what outcomes and take the P&L and say which line item in the P&L is going to get impacted, only then please start your project, because otherwise we are doing this more for as a hobby rather than really creating enterprise value. So we really, as a group here, I think there's 1,000 people here, we really need to create some enterprise value. Otherwise, that AI will be just another shiny object here.
With that big line of pilot to production to profits, Manish, thank you very much. This has been a pleasure.
Thanks.
It's been a big round of applause.
Thank you.
Really looking forward to it. And just have to say this personally, this picture means a lot because you are wearing a jeans and I'm wearing a suit.
Thank you.
Staying and introducing me here.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
Should I go back? Okay. Morning has been great, but the next session is definitely one of the most anticipated and my personal favorite. And I want, for that session to host, I want to bring back Mihir back on stage. So Mihir.
I think you've heard a lot today about our platform, our solutions, autonomous enterprise, and so many customer stories. We have all the ingredients possible. You can pick one or more if you like. But what else do we need to be successful? And that's leadership. And because transformations are never easy. So reimagine a process or an operating model or taking everybody with you. And you require a vision for the business, for the people, and the impact that you want to leave behind. So the AI is, of all the things, it is the leadership moment. And there is no one better on leadership and navigating change than our next guest, Jeff Immelt. Jeff worked for GE for 35 years, including 16 years as CEO. Under his tenure, GE was the largest corporation in the world, had 16 large businesses spanning healthcare, jet engines, finance, media, entertainment, and many, many others. Don't know of anyone else who ran large businesses across so many verticals at the same time. His book, Hot Seat, is a handbook on leadership and life. He leads with head and heart. He is an all-in leader. Please give a very warm applause to welcome Jeff Immelt on the stage. Thank you, Jeff.
Great to be here.
Of course.
Good morning, everybody.
Jeff, I'll start with one of our first conversations. I remember meeting you 8 or 10 years ago, scaling automation anywhere. And I'm paraphrasing what you said, but you said, Mihir, think about the worst that can happen with your company. And that is not in my top 10 of things that have happened. But we have the power to manage it, so don't worry about it. And in a very odd way, that felt very comforting. So here we are. We are leading organizations through a time, everybody here, leading time through huge technological shift, uncertainties, you know a thing or two about it. From your book, I remember the day 1 or day 2 of the job. Maybe you could start there, and then most importantly, what could we learn from it?
Yeah, so it's great to be with you. And today I work a lot with founders, and I always tell them on their worst day, no matter how bad it is, I've seen worse, right? So a lot of what your job is when you're on the board of working with a founder is to kind of hold their hand on the worst day. I think Mihir talks about 9/11, which was very early when I became CEO of GE, and it was an immense crisis, as many of you remember. And when you're in the middle of a crisis, like a leader has maybe 3 or 4 things they have to pick through. One is you've got to communicate. You've got to show up and communicate and help your team get through it. You have to know who to trust, right? So you have to be able to pick whose information really matters most and who to trust. You really have to understand both economics and risk, because you need to see that the future is going to take place, but also bad things can happen. But maybe the most important thing is you represent a belief system. Like when the world's cloudy, when it's confusing, you have to come back to kind of like, what are your first principles? What are your core principles? We're in Dallas today. This is the headquarters of American Airlines. Probably 5 days after 9/11, we were having these crisis meetings every evening. And the team said to me, look, unless we buy $1 billion of WETC bonds from American by tomorrow morning, they're going to go bankrupt. And I said, I only have like one question, like, what's a WETC bond? Like, I had no fucking idea, So they tried to explain it to me and stuff like that. But, in the end, our belief system as a company was we protected our customers, that basically our installed base was of immense value. And so when you're going through these difficult times, I think it's really important where company culture, company belief systems, first principles really kick in. Yeah.
You mentioned in your book, leadership is a full contact sport. What does that look like? What does it mean?
Oh, I think it's many things, but most importantly, Mihir, it's the willingness to make decisions. I've seen lots of CEOs, and I've seen lots of people. I think people don't expect perfection, they expect progress. And they don't want to sit around and kind of waiting. And really, even at CEO levels of companies, the people I've seen fail have failed because they were indecisive. It wasn't because they made a mistake or two. So I think you've got to be able to take this intense journey into yourself of like learning every day, improving every day, being self-reflective, being kind of self-critical. And here, like over many years, I'm my own worst critic, but I'm also my biggest fan, You have to be. So I can't tell you how many nights I went to bed saying, you are a complete loser. You are the worst person that's ever tried to do any job. and I wake up in the morning and start shaving and say, hello, handsome. You are so amazing. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing today. AI is almost like a new toy to companies, but nobody's really started doing, anything with it yet. So I would give you guys kind of like 3 ideas, for the people in the room today. You've got to have proficiency. In other words, you want people to start experimenting with Claude and other tools. You want proficiency. You need a mental model. So all of your companies should have a mental model that says, I've done a deep dive on all the advanced technologies, and this is the way we could run our company based on where the technology is. And then you need to have a belief system. You've got to invest money. You've got to hold people accountable. Operating leaders have to be accountable. And those 3 things are what leaders really have to do right now. And I think for the people in this room, I'm going to make the following comment, and I mean it in the most constructive way possible. If you look at, let's say, the last 25 years of the digital, let's say, revolution, it was really statements of record that were kind of done by CIOs to their functional colleagues, but it was non-differentiating. It was important, but not, let's say, essential to the company. Let's draw a line right now and look at the next 20 years or the next 5 years to your book.
Yeah.
These are consequential. Like AI is differentiating. AI is going to make one hospital do better than another. It's going to make one bank do better than another. It's going to help one airline do better than the other. So you've got to exercise new muscles as leaders and as companies. And I would say, AI's capability is here, and our capability as leaders is here. And those have to be brought closer together. And so, look, in lots of boardrooms, it's just like bullshit sessions, right? It's let's bring the new toy. Who's playing with the new toy? But there's some CEOs who I see are driving really transformative change, that have really built a belief system around the technology, and I think that's super important, right?
Let's do an experiment, since you brought up that. Let's imagine all the people in the audience work for you, and you are the CEO of GE again, or another large company. And they already probably say that it's your fault because you don't are giving enough budget, you're not moving fast enough. So in this scenario, what would you want them to bring to you, and what would you do?
So I would give 2 pieces of advice. One is, I teach basically a class for people at this level in the organization, a lot of whom have worked for Automation Anywhere.
It's phenomenal.
I always tell them to write, so I would urge each one of you to do, okay, how am I going to build proficiency? What should be the mental model for our company? And what should be the belief systems? And I would send that to your CEO. I would put your name on it. I would send that to your CEO. I guarantee you, that happened a lot of times with me. I would embrace it, right? I would embrace it because you're closer to the action. If I were back in my old seat, I'd probably take one of the 8 divisions. I would have done this already. I would say to the CFO of that division, look, I want you to figure out how to do this with kind of half the resources you have right now, and I'm going to give you $50 million to invest in the technology to facilitate it. We're going to do a 9-month, but I want it to be at scale. In other words, guys, I'm not a software native. I'm an old industrial guy. POCs, make me nervous. You walk into a boardroom and you're running 15 POCs inside the company, you might as well be not doing anything. So I'd be deep with invested capital, with the kind of returns that Manish talked about, and I would be doing that maybe 2 or 3 times, right, inside the organization. For us, the money shot was always about services and engineering. That's where the money was, that's where the profits were. So that I would be doing an experiment there, but I'd be doing big time investment with depth, with real driving of the outcomes. And I would never have the CIO or the CDO by themselves. I would have their functional partner right with them who had to deliver the results. And so that's what I would be doing at the top. But for all of you, you know, Mihir, I'm on, was kind of a founding team of an AI native insurance company, right? So it's now about $200 million in revenue. So basically you sit there and say, you know, you can basically run a big scale insurance company like Nationwide with maybe 80% less what I would call frictional costs. I don't want to pick on people, but just say frictional cost, it's not even close. You know, if you build it from the ground up versus where it is. Now, if I were CEO of Nationwide, I would want to know that.
Yeah.
I would want to say, okay, here's my path. Like I value people. Part of my belief system is I'm a mutual. I can't go laying off a bunch of people, but I can do this better in claims. I can do risk better. I can do those things. Let's get on a path of narrowing that gap between what's the art of the possible and where I am today. The first thing I do, I'd send everybody your book because that's a lot about what your book is about.
Yes.
But I think that should be going on in every legacy company. You heard a little bit about it with Citi today. But you know, like the friend of HCA. HCA is a big hospital chain. They're big here in Dallas. CEO is a friend of mine. Look, he thinks of himself like a hyperscaler, right? If he can deliver the benefits of AI broadly across his footprint, nobody can touch him at that scale. So, you know, there's just a lot going on, but it can't be, you know, again, not to offend anybody, but, you know, CRM was a program. Nobody really knew whether it delivered value or not. Let's all be honest, okay? I'm just being honest, okay? This is different, right? This has got to drive substantive competitive advantage, and I think it can. I think it will. I think it will.
I think you once told me that you had, whatever, 32 ERPs or something, and...
Try 270.
270,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, so super complicated. And again, the statement of use era provided transparency and governance and things like that, but it didn't drive differentiation in any way. So if you're in here today and you're a CIO or a CRO or a CDO, you've got to be in the differentiation business. You're no longer a program manager, you're a technologist. And that is really important. It doesn't mean you have to do all this yourself, but you really have to be orchestrating, you know, you've got to be able to have the kind of technical impact that the people that are developing jet engines are having, or MR scanners in my old world.
How important it is for leaders to paint a picture that we all want to, paint a picture of the future that we all want to live in. So, you know, with all the media attention happening and job cuts and everything else that's happening, how would you tell your company?
Yeah, you know, Mihir, I think your big point is telling the story of AI is really important.
Yes.
And as like a normal citizen of the country, just one word of advice: we should never let tech people talk about tech, you know? Because you guys screw it up all the time.
Point taken.
You become social philosophers and all this other bullshit, and all the rest of us just want to live our lives.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we're here in Dallas, Texas. Let's say 30 minutes. Let's say in Carrollton, Texas. There's a young couple. They're in their late 30s. They have 2 children, and in 2025, they paid $21,000 for a commercial health insurance plan. This year, they're going to pay $38,000 for that, okay? 60% increase. Let's solve that.
Yeah.
Let's use AI to solve that, right?
Yeah.
Let's use AI to solve how do we schedule a workforce in a factory. Let's use AI to solve. We have so many problems as business people. We have so many problems that are yet to be solved that technology that can solve. Sure, we have to be concerned with cyber and defense and all these other things, but let's bring tech back to the miracle it can be, of solving everyday problems that confront the people in this room and the people that work with you and things like that. And my fear, look, the challenges of AI aren't going to be solved by Bernie Sanders giving speeches in Beijing, okay? that's not gonna make the world a better place or a safer place.
Right.
But I think if the tech industry understands that we're in the problem-solving business, we need to put the right guardrails on this that can keep it so that that's where the focus is. There's a ton of problems yet to be solved.
In your book, there were 12 principles of leadership, and I think each of them apply. But if you have to pick one or two more that we haven't talked about.
We're here to sell your book today, so I don't want to sell my book. But if you read like chapter...
By the way, book business is a terrible business. You don't make any money in it. That's what I learned.
So I would say there's 3 chapters in a row on systems thinking, investing, and perseverance. I think it's 3, 4, and 5. Systems thinking is kind of what this morning has been about, which is like very few things operate in silos. Most things are cross-functional, and I always tell people kind of think about the and, you know? How do you run at scale and be fast, right? How can you test things and make decisions? How can you help customers and also at a lower price point, you know? The world is going to run around systems thinking. AI is going to run around systems thinking. A lot of the ability to make AI work has to do with workflow. I'm on the board of a company called Radiology Partners. There's 4,500 radiologists in the US. AI is a big core technology for us, but none of it works unless the physicians do their work in a different way. That's what I call systems thinking. Investment, you know, like slow walking programs, running nonstop POCs, fear of making decisions, not pushing the button. Leadership is about making bets and being accountable for them. Making bets and being accountable for them. So investment is a core one. And then look, there's just, you know, we're going to have an AI winter, right? We're going to have the moment where people say, oh, it doesn't work, or we've spent too much money. That's inevitable, that happens. And who's able to persevere when you go through those crises? Those are the 3 things that I think are most material for the people in this room, right? We're trying something new. We're all learning it in real time. There's going to be mistakes that get made, but I go back to having lived in this space, mainly as a user for a long time. You know, I would say statements of records were this much technology, and by the time I saw my first ERP, I had learned lean manufacturing, I had learned Six Sigma, so my capability to use that was pretty high. Now we've got AI technology here, and our toolkit is here. And so how do we draw that down? And not to say CEO has to do everything, but if I were on, I'm on 2 public company boards. One is a software company, one's an energy company. In both cases, the CEOs are the leader of the program. Let's say it's not delegated to any place else. They're the leader of the program. Yeah.
If I can change the tone a bit and maybe bring it a little more personal side to it. So I remember first time I met you, you put your hand on my shoulder, and you didn't have to, you were but you have a very human side to you. And when I was reading the book, I read the story about your baseball game and your father. I want you to share that with us, because it told me something of how you were raised.
I'd say so leaders, you develop in 3 ways. You get trained, right? You go to school, you have experiences, you have a career plan and things like that. But a lot of what you become as a leader, you learn as a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old or 7-year-old, right? So the 2 things I got from my parents, one was treat people with respect. So the one thing that you talked about, I was a pitcher in baseball when I was young. Somebody made an error. I got mad at them and yelled at them. My father left the game. I ended up pitching a no-hitter that day. I said, where did you go? He says, well, look, if you're going to act like a jerk, I don't have to sit and watch you. I don't care who won the game, right? Stayed with me. The other one is my parents were always these people like said, you can solve any problem. You can solve any problem. There's no problem that's too big that you can't solve. You just need the confidence, you need the work ethic and all those things. When I was 32 years old, I was running our appliance service business. This was the job that really put me on the map. We had to fix 3 million compressors in people's homes with 7,000 technicians. It was the company's biggest write-off at that point in our history. I learned how to fix a compressor. So once a week, I would put on a uniform. I would go into somebody's house. I was terrible, by the way. Ice cream would be melting. I cut my fingers all the time, stuff like that. I was horrible. But I knew how repairs got happen, right? So we had to go to Fairfield. Jack Welch was the CEO. I was a young guy. And we go tell him, look, we've got to take a $500 million reserve. And he instantaneously fires my boss. So my boss is dead. He's to my left. The CFO starts talking. The CFO got shot too, right? So I'm the last guy in the room. So he said, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, he's screaming at me and all this stuff. And I went in and said, here's how the compressors are fixed. Here's how many steps it takes. Here's how many minutes it takes. So for the next hour, he just quizzed me on how a compressor was fixed. I fly home that night, and I said to my wife, we had a young baby. I said, you know, hon, I'm going to have to find another job. You know, I'm going to get canned, you know. Next morning, phone rings. Jack Welch is on the phone. Yeah. He spends an hour, and he says, look, your attention to detail, your willingness to solve the problem, thank you so much. I'm so proud of you. Like, he just spent an hour, like, mentoring me, but only on, like, who is in the company to help you solve problems? Yeah. And who's in the company to point fingers and stuff like that? Yeah. That's a huge differentiator for all of us in our career. And again, you know, a super tough boss, like he was, but a great boss, because he basically said, look, we don't expect people to be perfect. We expect people to be accountable. Yeah. And that's what matters most. Right. By the way, you don't want me to ever fix an appliance or a lawnmower or anything else. I'm pretty terrible at it.
My last question. We all have different roles, but there is one thing we all value: families and our personal life. And life is more than work. How do you, as leader, how do you manage it all? I mean, I can't even imagine your role in that time. How do you make everything work?
I think you've got to make trade-offs. So, you know, when I was really active in my career and stuff like that, I was either at home with my family or at work, but I never did ski trips with friends or golf trips or things like that. It was always really just my family and my work, and I cut off everything else, right? You got to make sacrifices. And then look, I'm now, you know, life's long, right? And the other thing we hear is, like, you have a chance to keep coming back to the people you love when you have more time. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you keep these really deep connections and just build them over time. And you need them. You know, in other words, there were days when the only two people that loved me were my wife and daughter. So you need that outlet. There are other days where everybody was, but they didn't let me. They didn't let me get away from it. But I think you can have both, but you're going to have to make choices, and you have to be loyal over time to those you know, really close connections that matter the most. I think, you know, you and I see the same thing in you. I taught for 6 or 7 years at Stanford Business School, and I would tell my students, look, there's some things you can learn from me. There's some things you should never learn from me, right? Because I screwed it up. But I have a top 10 network, right? I have people who are my friends, and I learned early on how to be a good friend. And I think business careers, a lot of times, your peers are the ones that actually provide you with the ballast on the days you need them most.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I would encourage you to read a book. Lifetime of experience can't be covered in 25, 30 minutes. But try to give you a glimpse of it from work, life, and everything else, what it takes to run a world's largest corporation. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Mihir.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you, Jeff. And I want to thank especially our 35 sponsors who are here with us, especially our platinum sponsors, AWS, Accenture, gold sponsor. Thank you. Gold sponsor is UST Cognizant and Lydonia and PwC. You are a key part of this autonomous enterprise journey, so thank you for making this possible. I hope you found the morning part of the sessions inspiring. I know it was for me. I hope most of it you walk away from action, learn, and put it into action, because as it has been said a few times today, it's not a journey, it's a race. Engage with the people out there, demos and partners, and let's make it happen together. Thank you.